back, everybody, to another episode of the Pitch Pod. This is your host, Jeff Stebbins, and I'm joined today with the one, the only, the man with the answers, Joe Janner.
Thank you, Jeff. Glad to be here. As you said, now the man with the answers or the man with the questions, whether or not which is which, I'm fine, but I'm glad to be here either way.
You know, I think you're the man with the answers. I'm going to give you that title.
I'll take it.
So, Joe and I, we previously tried recording this, I'll full disclosure, and the audio on my part wasn't captured. So today we are doing attempt number 2 so that we can get this out before the match tomorrow. But before we talk about the upcoming match, Joe, you want to take us through the previous match from last week?
Yes, I was as we had expected. It was a really well played contest tactically between the two sides, and with the result of 1-1, I think is indicative of what you saw there. A really enjoyable, competitive contest that really could have gone either way in a sense. I think if you're on the side to support Chelsea, you're probably more disappointed than anything to have scored the goal to go up and not be able to hold on to it. If you're a supporter of Manchester United, to score the equalizer late as they did, you're going to be equally as happy. So again, very well played contest, enjoyable. And as I said, based on the performance and the scoreline, the result is probably fair.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously we had a pretty exciting goal there where the ball just barely crossed over the line. What were your thoughts on that?
I think looking at it initially, I wasn't sure. And then we had that graphic they were keen to show us, as the commentator there said, a matter of millimeters. And it was just that much, maybe an inch, whatever it turned out to be, but just enough to, yes, get across the line and score the equalizer, the header from Casemiro. I mean, maybe the goalkeeper's slightly out of position to not get something on it, but it was brilliantly placed, and well done to him and well done to the side to get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. Watching it in slow motion, you could tell the ball definitely did cross, but not more than probably an inch and a half. So, yeah, it definitely came down to just that inch and a half at the end of the game there. Looking forward, Joe and I at the Pitch Pod, we do things a little bit differently. We don't always pick the most popular teams or the number 1, number 2 teams to focus on for our match of the week. We look at competitiveness between the two teams. We look at overall standings and what we think is the most significant match for that week. So this week we decided to focus on Fulham and Everton. And I think it's going to be a great matchup at this point. It's the number 7 team in the league, which is Fulham, versus the number 12 team in the league, which is Everton, 18 to 13 points. So I think it's going to be a pretty competitive match. Joe, what are you thinking?
I would agree. That's one of the reasons I think we, as you said, from a different perspective, though, wanted to pick something like this as it's one that could go either way. And where these both stand in the table, I think they both have something to prove. I think that you're going to see two teams go out there to compete. And as always, that's what we're looking for from the perspective we come from, is what can these two teams show us in terms of competition?
Absolutely. And as far as Fulham goes, they've been playing solid. The guy that I think is most dangerous on their end is Mitrovic. Currently, he has 9 goals. He's 3rd place in the league, right behind Kane. And I think he's dangerous. Whenever he touches the ball, something could potentially develop. Something could happen. So that's the guy I'm looking for on Fulham being impactful. Who do you see being impactful for Everton for this upcoming match?
Well, I think they have another forward. They have Calvert-Lewin. They have Iwobi there working in the midfield. They have the youngster Gordon. They have a slew of personnel within their system that lend themselves to having the potential to score goals. We saw them score goals last week. It will be a question of, again, if they're able to score this week. And so I think it's good that we have this contest at this time for them to show where they're at. I know they've had some injuries in within the squad. I know there was a meeting the other day. Frank Lampard mentioned that Nathan Patterson was ready and fit to play. I think that maybe lend itself to a different selection to allow him to show himself. So, with that being said, I think there's several players in Everton to watch to see if they perform. They got a goalkeeper in Pickford that, when he's on, he does well to protect the back of the goal, and it should be a good contest.
Right. Yeah, it does seem like the team's been a bit plagued with injuries, but I suppose this point in the season, most are. And you brought up Lampard. How do you think Lampard's been managing the team thus far?
I think most would probably say so. Going into the season, thought maybe you'd be on a little bit shorter leash. Thought that if you saw him 10 matches in with 10 points, might have been some bigger questions, but I think he's gotten a little bit of support from within the club. It sounds like as a name, he's been able to keep steady and keep his job in a sense. But that win from last week was definitely helpful for where they are in the standings, and definitely helpful for him in his position professionally as a manager. So I'd rate it as a so-so. I think this will be a contest. I think that could determine if it's a so-so or a no-go for Lampard moving forward.
The so-so or the no-go? I like that.
Sometimes it just all comes to be. Yes. Well, I think again, this contest will show us where he is and where he fits into what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We both agree this is a must win for Everton to get that momentum, for Lampard to kind of um, just make it clear that he's the guy that's going to be managing this team in the future. So I'm with you there. Before we get some inside scoops from one of Joe's associates, and also a admitted Everton fan, before we get the inside scoop from Roger, we have to break down what the pregame analysis has been. The surveys have been out, and at this point, thus far, the majority of people are giving Fulham the nod. They have 41% of individuals saying that Fulham's going to pull this off. 31% are going with Everton, and then 28% are predicting a draw. So it's pretty evenly split, I'd say.
Yes, according to those numbers, probably that 41% is indicative of the fact that it is Fulham at home and they've done well there. So I think that's part of that number. I still more so think it could go either way. And I think it's going to really come down to the performance of both sides. So those numbers I think are fair.
Yeah, I agree. The home field advantage, obviously, that's gonna have an impact. Having their fans, supporters being loud and supportive for them, absolutely. Are you ready to get Roger's take and tell us a little bit about him?
Yes, Roger Murphy, he's from Liverpool. He's an Everton supporter, admittedly for life. And knowing him and working with him on a couple different projects, he is associated, he does operate as the expert football coaches, and he does have some good insight he was kind enough to provide to us. And so, yes, Roger, like to hear from you in terms of your perspective on this match. Roger?
Hiya, Joe. This game between Fulham and Everton looks to be a evenly contest competition. At the moment, both teams are in a rich frame of form, and I would say, probably Fulham's got the best, record. I mean, they've played the usual suspects, the lower league clubs than them, and beat them. And then they haven't done so well against the top three clubs. Everton are in exactly near enough same position. They beat a lot of the lower clubs. They drew with the likes of Leeds and Brentford, and then they've done well against Crystal Palace, but lost also against the top three. But they got a commendable draw against Liverpool. So I think Fulham with Mitrovic, they've got a class striker there that's quite versatile, can score a variety of goals in a different way, very aggressive. He's key player for them. Maybe more play at Everton will play a bit more of a dominant role along with maybe Dominic Lewin up front. But Everton's last game against Crystal Palace, where they ran out 3-0 winners, I mean, some of the moves was sublime. I mean, it was top quality football, 1 and 2 touch play. And they made it the way they move between the lines. It was as if it didn't exist. So, it all looks good for a good game. I think Fulham have let a lot of goals in, uh, you know, uh, compared to Everton. So perhaps their goalkeeper's not as good at the moment as Everton goalie. The stats would confirm that. So and the goal differences are the same. So Everton have struggled with getting goals. Hopefully they'll turn a corner in this game. If it was to edge my bets, I'd say it's going to be a 2-2 draw, but you really never know, really. So yeah, it'll be a good game. I suspect it'll be maybe a 2-2 draw, and the next three games for Everton are key. They've got Leicester, and then they've got a game against another low club in Bournemouth next. So they're key for Everton winning, and if they do win, they'll jump up and might leapfrog their local rivals Liverpool. Okay, Joe.
Roger's going for a 2-2 draw, which, coming from a admittedly biased perspective, because he's a big supporter of Everton, huge fan. So for him to say 2-2 draw, I think that's significant, and I think that indicates that it's going to be a really close game. My prediction, I'll go ahead and go first this week. My prediction is I'm going to go with 2-1. So similar to Roger, I think it's going to be close all match, and I'm going to give the nod to Fulham. I think Fulham's going to pull this off.
Okay, I think again the 2-1 win for Fulham and the 2-2 draw for between the two is fair and appropriate. But I have to go out and put myself on the other end. I'm going to put myself out there and saying that I think some of this is going to align for Everton today or the upcoming match. I feel like this is a game where probably more so with anything, it's going to keep Fulham from scoring. If they can keep Fulham off the board, I see Everton winning, and I see them scoring a couple goals. So I have them winning 2-0 in this contest.
Okay. All right. So we agree to disagree is what they say, right?
And in this case, one of us is going to be right. So good for the pitch pod. Only time will tell. This contest will have to be played to determine which of us, though, is the correct, but one of us will get it right.
Absolutely. I went high. Roger went right down the middle, and you went on the other end of the spectrum there. So we're all over the place, and hopefully one of us is at least close to what the final score ends up being. Either way, I think it's going to be an exciting match, and I'm really looking forward to it. Absolutely. I just wanted to say thank you, Roger. Joe, I know he's a good friend of yours, and we really appreciate his contributions to the Pitch Pod here.
Right, I think we put it out there and said if he hits 2-2, why wouldn't we have him back, right? If he hits right on the mark, Roger, we'll see you back here again sometime soon. Again, yeah, thank you, Roger, for your contribution. Talk to you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. If he nails the score 2-2, he's coming back. He's got to be. Well, we'll go ahead and close it out. And again, hopefully you like the content. Please like, subscribe, and as always, keep pitching out there.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.